Hello everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is the last Sunday in August. I don't know if you can tell, but I got my hair colored yesterday. It looks really awesome. How's everybody's week? Well, for those of you who had a good week, that's good to hear. For those of you who didn't have a good week, tough titty? I joke, really and truly, if you had a terrible week, I do hate to hear that. But those of you who have commented to me about this know what I'm meaning. All right, so we've got Q&A. We don't have any haul this week. We've got Q&A. We've got some whip updates, of course. And a couple of other two quick things. The first one, and I commented on the comments about it, we definitely appreciate all the feedback on Stitch Mania, the talk show. There was a request to handle the giveaways maybe differently. If you haven't watched the video, go watch it. In part 2, there will be another giveaway. And I think what Katie and I have kind of decided we're going to do with them is we'll rotate the platforms for where the giveaways take place. I think that's kind of what we've decided to do. I haven't for sure, but we will try to make it so that it's not just you have to be on Facebook to be eligible to win. Or at least not every time. So that's the plan. The other thing, we are getting ready to move to a house. It's a rent house. We are in the process of looking. It may be one of those things if we may get one and have to move suddenly. So if in September or October there's suddenly not a video from me for the week, don't be surprised. Because we're just moving. So, if you go a week, don't be alarmed. If I have warning, of course, I'll let you know. But if I do miss a week, I wanted to give that sort of out there in advance. Okay. So, the first question comes from Volunteer Stitcher. She says, I've never had good luck with Kreinik, but I have a lot of it, so I'd like to make peace with it and be able to use it. It may just be a bad experience that I had with blending filament. So which Kreinik do you typically use? And do you ever change the size depending on the thread count you're stitching on? And how many strands do you use? Okay, so Kreinik almost always, is going to be, that I use, is going to be a number 4, and it's going to be 1 strand. I will use the number 8 if I'm working on perforated paper. And I will only use the blending filament if it's just absolutely necessary, because blending filament is a pain. I will say that I do have a tendency on the blending filament. I will stitch the cotton, the DMC or whatever first, and then go back over and just do a top stitch with the blending filament. That makes that a lot easier. And the only time I'll ever use 2 strands, usually, if I'm working on perforated paper and I don't have the color in number 8, which I generally don't because I don't buy a lot of number 8, then I'll use the number 4 doubled over. That's what I did on my Brooks Books Oz ornaments. So, that's how I use Kreinik. And now we load the questions. Donna Levitt asks, can I ask you about beads? I'm doing the Alice Stitch Along from the Cross Stitcher magazine, and it calls for 14 counts and Mill Hill beads. Would the beads be too big on 16 count? I prefer it, but I've never used beads before. Sorry, I haven't looked everywhere they go. I suppose that might have helped. It's kind of a matter of personal preference. I don't have a problem using the regular beads on 16 count or 32 count when it's even weaver linen. You may, if it's a whole bunch right there together, you may have to sort of fudge a little because they won't necessarily all fit, but they'll work just fine by and large. Petites work real well on 36 and 40 count, but the regulars are just fine, I think, on 28 and 32. It's actually chilly in our apartment for a change. The Promiscuous Stitcher asks, how do you display your projects when finished? Some of them get framed. By and large, most of them get framed. Although I say that, there's a whole bunch with Oliver now currently being finished. Most of them end up going in a bag, but the ones that I do display tend to either hang on the wall or just be set around. I don't really have any specific display for them, I should say. Sarah Contento asks, is the No Name Needle Minders an Etsy store? No, it is a Facebook group. Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. I forgot to grab my Sarah Davis one. I will try to tag you in an Instagram post from the last time I worked on it. Rolanda Duac, I don't have a Disney cross-stitch book. There is the fairy tale one by Veronica and Ginger, and I can grab that for you. Now, where to find it, I'm not entirely sure anymore, because it has, I believe, fallen out of print. So I don't know if this is the one you're meaning, but this is the only fairy tale book per se that I have. It's not Disney though. There was a Disney cross-stitch kit, like, book of sorts that came out a couple of years ago through Barnes & Noble. It was one of those where it gave you the patterns and then it also gave you, like, enough thread to do 2 of the projects. But as far as I know, that's kind of it. Clay O asks, can you tell us where you get your pattern for Fairy Tale Favorites? It's by Shannon of Shannon Christine Designs. It was in the 2019 Cross Stitcher magazines. It was a year-long sale. I believe she does have plans for it to be available from her, but I haven't seen it get released yet, so I don't know there. But it started in, I think, the December 2018 magazine and went through the December 2019 magazine. D. Neely asks, so what prompted you to start a floss tube? That is a good question, and I genuinely don't remember. I think someone just said, hey, you should do a floss tube, and I said, okay. I think that's kind of how that came to fruition. Let's see. We've got to get these to load. Doo-doo. Come on, page. Let's load. There we go. Pauline Horn asks, can I work a PDF off my phone or do I need a printer? I use mine off my tablet, but I do use my phone if my tablet's dead or if I forget to bring my tablet with me. Or if I'm somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi, so my tablet won't work properly. Michael Rule asks, do you have a simple trick to counting skip spaces when stitching 2 over 2? And the answer is no. I do a whole lot of count several times to make sure I'm doing it right. One of the things I'll also do if I have to skip is if I can line it up with other stitches, like where it is down, like, oh, this is in line with this stitch over here and this stitch up here. I'll do that sometimes. But generally it's a whole lot of just double checking my counting. Mama Jack asks if my quip about cut of its jib is a Captain and the Colonel reference. It's actually not. That's actually a much older expression that I heard. I want to say from Elaine Stritch was the first time I heard it, and that was in like 2002-ish. So it's an older one that they, I think, kind of brought back a little bit, but no, that's not where I got it from. Karen Honey asks, as our taste buds change every 7 years, have your charts taste changed any? Yes, I feel like they have. I feel like I do more diverse stuff than I did when I first started out. But I've always been kind of an eclectic stitcher anyways. So I'm more likely to do like reproduction samplers now than I used to be. I still like Halloween. Who knows? All right. And that takes us to the end of the Q&A. As always, thank you for all the great questions. Feel free to drop more to me, because as we know, I like them. So last week, this is going to be sort of a circular story here. So last week, I finished up Gretel in Fairy Tale Favorites. So here she is in all her glory. And then the wheel spun Fairy Tale Favorites again. So I finished up that part of the border. So I did the rose and the magic wand motifs. And then, when I finished Frankenstein, I decided, let me just go ahead and finish out the border on Fairy Tale Favorites. So I've been going along on that, and I realized I'm getting low on my gold. So I finished up the white, so that's all done. I'm working on the gold interior next, and then I'll do the gold exterior bits. And I did the little gold and the mini motifs because I wanted to make sure I had enough for those. So working on the gold. So that's how that's going. Then I did finish up the border in Frankenstein. Yesterday I didn't get to stitch at all. Other than I did get like 3 stitches in on the first part of the motif. So, there we go. Frankenstein's border is all done. We'll be diving in and working on this one today. I'm really excited to work on it. Alright, and then the wheel spun. As I told you all, Universal Monsters was going to be one of the ones I'd be working on. And I got 2 of the clouds done and a good portion of the 3rd. So the next time I work on it, my plan, at least, will be to have the clouds and basically everything on this side of the house done in terms of the top part. And then we'll come over here and start in on the next. This is on Nessie from Under the Sea Fabrics. Frankenstein's on Mushroom Agaric from Fortnite Fabrics, and Fairy Tale Favorites is on Sampler Gold from Color and Cotton. Then I worked on Adventure Awaits, and I got almost all of Europe's icons done. I got the Leaning Tower of Pisa finished. I got the boat in Greece at least outlined, so I just have the castle-y thing up here, and then the coastlines and the plain. So I really do like this piece. Alright, then I worked on Alice from Satsuma Street. And I got more of this corner border done. So I got the black outline for it, and I got started in on the white. So that's exciting. So plugging away pretty good on that one. It's going to be Border Palooza for a while. Although I may go ahead and start, just to break up the black and white monotony, I may start filling in some of it, but still working more on border. And then I worked on Atlantis. I didn't get as much done on it as I'd intended. I was real tired Friday, and that was what the wheel spun on Friday. So I only got half of this motif here done. So it repeats itself, so it's 4 rows. I got 2 of the 4 done. So not as much as I would have liked to get done, but that's okay. So today we're going to work on Frankenstein, and then we'll see what the the wheel brings for tomorrow. So anyhow, that's it for me today. A little bit of a shorter video. Didn't have any haul to show. Didn't really have a whole lot of... I had progress, but not a whole lot of overly visible progress. So anyhow, that's it for me today. I will see you all next week. Bye.